Phoenix Park, where the Leinster Aero Club are based. You might remember some weeks ago we spoke to Peter Traynor, and we spoke to some of the people there that are members of that club. But I wanted to know how many people were in the club and what kind of planes they flew.
70 members, and it's a general order. We have scale models, which are replicas of full-size aircraft, to models designed as models, purely for pleasure, the pleasure of flying them as model airplanes. They represent no particular aircraft in any way, shape or form. Actually, some of them are total ugly looking things. You'd never think that they would fly at all, but we get them into the air and we fly them.
How would you compare the skills of the remote controllers here, the model air operators, and the skills of the pilots who more or less use much the same controls in the craft? How would you say there's a good level of skill and knowledge of aeronautical principles and so on?
Oh yeah, the model is flown in the exact same way as a full-size aircraft. We have had members of staff from Aer Lingus came here and joined the club as pilots and decided to join our club, and they said they found it much more difficult to fly the model than to fly the real thing. As one lad, he explained it, the way he put it to me was that it was like driving his car from the footpath. Great difficulty. Where once inside a full-size aircraft, he had the feel of it. Where when we're flying here in the park, all you have is what you see.
And the subtleties are probably greater.
Oh yes,
control.
Yes. The subtleties are greater, and you see what's happening. You have no actual feel for the model. You have no physical contact with the model. So when everything is a reaction to an action of the model. You don't get a premonition of what's going to happen. You'd have no feeling of what's going to happen before it actually happens.
You're all the time reacting.
You're reacting all the time. Well, it requires a lot of concentration, and it sharpens up the reactions a good deal.
Yeah. The kind of people that are here this evening, we have mothers and children and so on. Is this would be a typical scene of
Oh yes,
one of your
yes. The members come out and they bring their wives, and the wives will sit and talk, and the kids will run around, and we get on with our thing of flying models. And I suppose to a certain extent, a lot of the women are bored, but they come out and get some fresh air. And
how do you feel about spectators coming along here?
Spectators, we don't object to them. It is a public park and they're entitled to be here. The only thing that we require is that they obey our safety rules, and so far everybody has. We're there. They'll cooperate with us, yeah. Without any. They see that there is possible danger here, and we're quite prepared to allow them to stand and watch us.
And those basic rules would be just to do with the area. What would you call this?
Our flight patch. Yeah,
right.
That's our landing strip. The landing strip itself, the approaches, the landing approach, and the takeoff area. Well, then we like people to stay clear of that. Other than that, they have free range, and if they come along and they ask us, they want to inquire about joining the club or anything else, we're more than willing to help them.
And what is the membership fee for the Leinster Club?
For the Leinster Club, our membership fee for the club alone is £7.50
per annum. Per annum.
We have an insurance through the national body, National Council, I should say, and that works out at £27.50. The total cost between insurance and club fees works out at £37.50 a year.
It's a reasonable amount.
It is reasonable, and with the insurance you have £1 million third-party cover.
Yeah.
In case God forbid, if anyone was hurt or property damaged.
Have there ever been any injuries so far?
No, thank God. Nobody has been. No spectator has been hurt. Among the club, we've had lads have caught a finger in a propeller or something like that. No accidents were involving a plane crashing into anybody. We're very strong on the rules.
Are there many independent people who went out and bought a model plane and so on, and who, for one reason or another, didn't join a club? Are there lots of those people that would benefit by coming along to a club like your own?
Yes, you cannot just go out and buy a model airplane and the radio equipment and all the ancillaries and start it up and fly it. You must be taught. You have to go through a learning stage. There is a sequence of learning. You start with very basic model aircraft, and then you move up to a little more complicated till you get to the top of the range, which would be, for most of the lads in our clubs, a scale model, which will fly exactly as the full size.
So you could offer tuition facilities if you like.
Oh, we do. We are one of the few clubs in the country that are willing to take any person who wishes to come along and join our club. We will teach him to fly. There's no obligation for him to stay in the club. they come along, we teach them to fly, and then they can depart and go their own way.
What other benefits can you think of that would be of interest to people there with planes who'd like to join the club? Is it the competitive end of the?
Well, there are national competitions, international competitions, and the only way you can enter these competitions is by joining a recognised club affiliated to the National Council, which is affiliated to the European councils, which entitles you to join the international competitions. Yeah. We have a national team here, which we send competitors to the World Championships. Last year it was in Australia. And we send competitors to international competitions across Europe.
Right. Do model planes and so on, is there any practical uses for them? I presume, I think they have been used in America for drug smuggling and so on. But can you think of any other uses that people might use them for in a practical way?
Yes, well, I had last year here, I think it was the Department of Fisheries were doing a survey on the deer. Excuse me, I have a chaplain. I have to call. Yeah, the Department of Fisheries last year, and I presume it was them. They were doing a survey on the deer, and they asked me, was it possible to use a camera in the plane in order to count the deer? Which, well, unfortunately, we weren't able to help them because it would require building a specific model capable of carrying a camera. Right. And flying a grid pattern over them, and unfortunately they wanted it within a week or so, and to build the model alone, but it took at least 6 months.
Yeah.
So that
I would have thought the easy way to do it would be to walk around the park and count the deer's legs and divide by 4.
Yeah, well, that would have been a far better way. The only way I'd like to see them is on a plate with mint sauce, but they won't allow me to do that, unfortunately.
What a terrible thing to say.
No, that and some of the lads have mounted cameras in the planes just for pure pleasure alone. Right. And flown around. We've taken unusual photographs of some
terrific. Terrific. And I suppose with video cameras now being so small that they can also put those into some of these.
Oh yes, it's quite a model. Some of the models can carry up maybe a payload of maybe 4 or 5 pounds, right. Which a small size video camera wouldn't have much problem at all with it. The only problem you would have would be in actually activating the camera. But again, the radio equipment that we use is quite capable of being arranged to do that.
Yeah. There's one or two novices here that depend a little bit on your skills. There was one guy there now, he couldn't quite land his machine.
Yeah, well, he's going through the learning stage. He's only had about 4 or 5 flights. And when the engine cuts like that, it can be a bit nerve-wracking for a beginner. So what myself and chaps like us, we will help them out. We don't like to see a lad crashing a plane, which tends to discourage him. And he will go home and maybe 3 or 4 weeks building of the model. And it tends to, as I say, discourage people, and they don't tend to come back. And the hobby cannot continue unless we bring new blood into it. Right. So men like myself, and with a little more experience, not say great flyers, we're no better than anybody else, but we try and encourage these lads and help them out. Yeah. And save them the expense of major damage in the event of a plane crashing.
Right. So, Peter.
Thank you, Peter, trainer there. It's amazing when you're really interested in something how the enthusiasm bubbles out. I spoke to another club member, Paddy Brown, and I asked him what he was flying.
Well, it's not quite a scale model. It's semi-scale. It's what I call a look-alike. It's meant to look like a pre-war fighter plane or pursuits that the Americans use. Very stubby little fuselage and an open cockpit, and in fact it's designed in such a way. The original model that it was was built from, was a biplane, and I can fly this out as a biplane. That is an airplane with 2 wings, a model with 2 wings, or as a monoplane as it is there now, which is just 1 wing.
And you went for the single wing on this model for any particular reason?
Yeah, to get experience on the use of a particular control called an aileron control. Aileron controls the banking of the airplane,
which you couldn't do with the biplane.
Which I couldn't do with the biplane. All I could do was steer the rudder, which acts like a rudder on a boat and just changes direction, but it doesn't bank it.
Does that take away from the gracefulness of it, and does it take a little bit away from the realism? This left and right turning without banking is.
It looks very awkward.
Does it?
It looks very awkward, yeah.
And is the whole point of flying these, is it to get as close to realism as you can get? Is that?
Well, in this one here, in this model here, which is a semi-scale, it is. But there are a number of models here tonight which are functional models. In other words, they're built for aerobatics or speed or something like that, rather than to simulate the real thing. But I'm a bit ancient now. I like to simulate the real thing because Some of these other ones are very, very fast. If you see them
Right,
flying around
yes,
here,
yeah.
very noisy as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure I'm that keen on the buzz noise
No.
myself.
No, I don't like it either. But
Yeah.
I think some of the younger lads here with models are a little bit like young lads with motorbikes, unless
That's right.
there's a bit of a din
That's
on.
right. Have you been flying these for long, Paddy?
I have. I retired about 5 years ago. Came out in voluntary retirement, and my family, my son, in fact, was worried that I had nothing to do, wouldn't know how to amuse myself. So he suggested that I take up model aeroplanes. So I've been doing that now for about 5 years. But some of the other lads here are very, very experienced indeed.
Right.
Been at it all their lives, much more experienced than I am.
How much time would you devote to the sport, or would you describe it as a sport or a hobby? How does it rate?
Well,
You know.
some people call it toys for the boys, which is a way of insulting us. They're not toys because there's a good deal of technology. They're all built. We build them all ourselves here. None of these are built. None of these are bought from the model shop as a stand. You buy a kit, and you build from the kit or build from a plan. So as well as the flying, you have to be reasonably adept with your hands, with your fingers, so you can put all the bits and pieces together.
Right.
And having done that, then there's a little bit of technology required on the little two-stroke engines. Not a great deal, but a little bit of knowledge on tuning
So
those.
it brings in a few skills. It brings in, the bit of carpentry maybe and making, and
It does. It does.
A bit of mechanic work with the engine.
That's right, and a little bit, I'll know great deal of radio knowledge because they're all radio controlled. But my knowledge of radio is very limited. We have an expert here. If there's any problem with radio, he can sort it out for us.
Yes. Yeah. Being really honest about it, when you're flying a model plane, are you really trying to simulate the real thing? And is that the essence of model airplane flying?
It is, because all the controls operate in exactly the same way as the controls on a full-size airplane.
Right.
The three flying controls, engine controls, the takeoff, the landing, the turning, the banking, exactly the same. They're operated with little sticks there, tiny little finger sticks on the transmitter, which correspond to the joystick or the control column in a real aeroplane.
Yeah. As a retired person, how would you rate this as a pastime, as an interest?
Oh, I'd rate it very, very high indeed, because not only does it get you out into the open air, but it keeps you at home. It keeps you in your workshop, building, flying, designing, out here in the open air. And it's a good social thing as well. We meet a lot of people here. We have a club. So socially it's a very good thing as well. I'd rate it very high indeed. You don't need a great deal of manual skills. The only tool you need is a razor blade, because they're made from balsa wood, which is a fairly soft wood.
Right.
And all you need is a razor blade.
Yeah. And of course, you don't have to have a big jig thing to take the engine off. Everything is it's no weighs no more than a couple of pounds at the moment.
That's right. The total weight that model there will be about 4.5 pounds. So they're very portable. We take them to bits to put them in a car. The wings there, you can see, are held on by big heavy rubber bands. The wings will come off. They'll lie flat, so the whole thing will fit into the boot of your car.
Right. I know that you said that you had taken the wing off, that it was a biplane originally, but could you not still retain the facility that you have on this wing with the ailerons, is it?
I could.
And keep the other wing on?
I could, but I don't have quite enough experience. Biplanes, that's the two-wing aeroplane, are a bit more difficult to fly. In other words, I'm starting at the beginning. I will eventually, I hope, my next step here would be to fly the biplane, the two-wing, with the aileron control, so I have full banking control as well.
Right.
But biplanes are a bit more difficult. They're a little bit more unstable. They tend to pitch up and down quite a bit.
Well, Paddy, many more years of enjoyment with what seems to be a very pleasant occupation.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Okay,
Glad to have met you.
Right, thank you. Standing beside, your name is?
Brian Patton.
And are you long in this the Leinster club here?
Since last August, 91.
Right. What do you find so attractive about model airplane flying?
Well, first of all, I wanted to do the flying and all the aerobatics and so on. But now I've become interested in, the building. It's it's fun building the planes. It's annoying at times, but it is fun.
Right, what kind of a plane have you got now yourself?
It's just a basic trainer, a Yamamoto. So I've got a few planes that I'd like to build and that, I've been saving up for kits. But at the moment, it's just a basic trainer.
How long did it take, for somebody starting off now, how long did it take you to actually get a plane into the air and control it yourself?
Well, I bought my gear second hand and the plane ready built because I wanted to get into the air. And
do you mind me asking you how much that was?
It was £180 for the plane, the radio and the engine, and then there's just other bits and pieces like fuel and so on.
Yeah. And what age are you now?
14.
Oh, great. So would you say you got £180 worth of value?
Yeah. I've had a crash or two since then, but even still, it's it's great fun.
Yeah. How proficient are you now at this stage?
Well, I can take off and land, and that's about it. Just fly around.
Yeah.
I'd like to be more proficient, but that just comes with time.
I know, yeah. Are there competitions within the club? Have you entered any of the competitions?
Well, we had a problem joining the club. It's actually overfilled last year, so our membership is only coming through this year, so we haven't known about competitions.
Right.
But there have been a couple for club members, yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you if do you have any ultimate ambitions as far as model making? Do you want to go very big with them, or what way? What's your ambition there?
I suppose I'd like to do really good detailed scale, and at the same time I'm still interested in the acrobatics.
Right.
It's at the moment I've no real one ambition. I just want to get very good at every part of the model.
Yeah. I'm sometimes looking at the different planes here and so on. I must say the larger type aircraft, it appeals to me.
Yeah.
It seems to behave more like a real one does. The kind of craft that you're interested in, they do make a buzzy sound and they buzz around like little bees, and I must say that puts me off just a little bit. But you enjoy that.
Well, it kind of puts everyone off, because if the plane's high pitched and noisy, it puts the public off and it gives the modelling a bad name. So like recently we've been trying to quieten down the engine, get rid of the high pitched noise, make it sound more realistic.
Right.
Just by adding mufflers or even different propellers can change the noise of the engine.
Right. How much help do you get in a club like this about tuition and in maintenance and repair and so on? Are they good for helping out?
It's very good. I like to try and work on my own to get the experience, but if I need help, there's loads of people here that will give the help. For the last few months, last 30 or 40 flights or so, people have been taking the plane off for me and landing it for me because I haven't been able to that. And it's only recently I've been able to do a full flight on my own. Yeah. And even still, they'll keep an eye over me if there's some kind of situation that I can't get out of.
Yeah, that's certainly nice to know. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the club itself and about, would you recommend it as a hobby for other people, say, around your own age?
Yeah, well, I've already hooked one of my friends in school into it. He's come up today as well just to see what it's really like.
Yeah.
It's good fun. A lot of people think, building planes, or they think maybe they're toy planes, But I suppose they aren't toys in a way, but they're a lot more than that. There's so much you can do with them.
Right. Okay. Listen, you're very good to talk to us. Thanks very much
Thanks.
Indeed. Okay. I'm standing now with
John Dunn.
And you have a lovely big plane there. What's the name of that one?
It's a big lift.
A big lift, and
big
it is
lift.
big.
It is big.
Can you give us dimensions?
It's approximately 9 feet across the wing and 5.5 foot in length.
Right.
From tail to tip of the nose.
And what about the engine that powers it?
There's a 90 in it, and with an OS.
That's a 90.
It's about 15 cc's.
Right.
With an OS carburetor in it for extra speed.
What kind of fuel consumption? Have you ever worked out what it's?
14 ounces, approximately 62 minutes on that size engine. But it's a fairly low rate.
What are we talking about there now? Can we equate that into the gallon or a pint, or is it half a pint?
It's almost 3/4 of a pint.
Is it? Yeah. And you can get an hour.
On that, would that be on very low throttle, very just ticking over. But right. It's so big of a wingspan that it actually glides like a glider.
Yes, indeed.
As you can see now, when it's going over across.
Now it's without a doubt, it's the real thing.
Oh, it's very realistic.
Yeah.
Last year we had our out of flight. Well, Peter, the initial owner of it, he had our out of flight for fun, and we used it to dump pounds of sweets on children.
Oh, terrific!
Which was very realistic. As I flew over the crowd, get the kids to chase it down the field, then turn it and bring it back to the way and drop the sweets out. Great for we had a marvellous day.
Yeah. Are you long in the club yourself?
This is the second season, so we'd say 6 months totally with the club. But about 2 years before that, so I was always up in the park watching, seeing, learning how to build.
How did you come to be interested in model airplanes?
And as a child, I had a control line flyer, and I got broke, and
This
always
is the
had
one
the same.
now that
Yeah, there's one here in the minute.
that you'd have
2 lengths of catgut, and it's fixed to the wing. It just flies around you in a circle.
right?
Yeah.
You could fairly well screw yourself into the ground with one of
More
those.
or less, yeah. You get dizzy, but more so than anything else. And that was where it started.
Yeah.
And I tried model boats. I tried model cars at one time, and I went back to this. It gets a grip on you. You just can't get away from it.
Yes, it's beautiful, all right.
But the building is the part I love.
Really?
Yeah, to sit at home a couple of hours and then, we'd say after 100 hours, walk out here and see it going.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate then. You know,
Yeah.
you've achieved it.
Well, without doubt, it's the biggest model here this evening.
This evening it is, yeah.
And would you consider going bigger again, or where does it stop?
Well, at the moment I'm building an SE5 World War II fighter, and it's about a foot narrower in the wingspan. That's all.
right.
So that's my next project.
Yeah.
So
Right.
really would love to do is a quarter scale cub. I've had a flare cub, and the quarter scale cub is the biggest you can get.
Right. And what kind of dimensions are you talking about there?
The same size as the big lift that's up there, except has a little bit more of dihedral on the wings, which means a V. It'll
Right.
hang better on the breeze.
Oh yes, yeah. Now that is what they think they call a 3-channel model, is it?
That's a 3-channel one, the big
And
lift.
so we're talking about, say, throttle control, rudder
Throttle,
control,
rudder, and rudder. Elevators.
elevators. These are the ones at the back, the flat
Yeah.
wing at the back.
The flat wing at the back,
Back.
the post at the back, and the throttle. That's all you have.
Yes, yeah.
And for a 4-channel then, as you know, it's ailerons in.
Is this it coming into land now?
He's probably just nursing her over the patch.
Yeah, lovely. Isn't that now? Now when you see it like that, what do you feel?
Beautiful. No other word for it.
There you are now.
A beautiful summer's evening in the park.
Isn't
That's
it?
what it's all
Isn't it?
about.
Isn't it?
yeah.
Isn't it
That's what it's
excellent?
all about.
Excellent. You're very good to talk to us. Thanks very much.
It's nice to talk to you.
Okay. People who fly, whose hobby it is flying them and making them, and others. Now you're the wife of a flyer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a pleasant evening here in the park. So you do benefit from your husband's hobby.
I suppose I do. I get to get out with him. Like last week we went, where was it? Sugarloaf. Sugarloaf we went last week. For there was a fly for fun up there, you know, and there was bigger planes up there. They were fantastic. So that was a day out for myself and the other little lad, as well as the daddy and the son that flies.
Does the hobby ever become a problem at home?
No. No problem.
In my bedroom,
In fact,
whatever, it's not a problem.
In fact, it's a good thing because she has a young lad flies and I have, my lad is 17 and it means that I know where he is every night.
Right.
He's just up here with his dad, right? He's up in the room
Yeah.
fiddling around
My
with
dad's the
airplanes
same,
and
yeah.
horse lads the
Yeah.
same. So that way it's
It's a good thing.
it's a good thing because you know where the lads are, they're not out.
Well, can I ask you,
In
how long are
trouble.
you flying with your husband?
How long would they fly now?
Oh, you must be flying
Oh, it
for
must
4
be
years.
It must be 4 years that I was
Can
all
I
over
ask-
started.
Really?
This
Yeah, I'm
sunset.
flying with him for years.
Are you?
Donkey's years.
And you still never got fed up with it?
No. I do fly myself as well now and
Do
again,
you?
yeah.
Do you?
I have a go.
And
Don't
you
I,
enjoy
Peter?
that? Do you enjoy
I do,
that?
yeah. I enjoy now even watching them build them and all in the house.
Right. Yes.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see the way that they put their heart and soul into it.
Yeah. Some people would say that the husbands, the men, there's a little bit of the boy in them. What do you say about that?
There always will be.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says about them.
Yeah.
They still be a little
I don't know
boy.
this lady's name. Sorry.
Gee.
Oh, so Jean
Jean.
Clark.
What do you feel about that? Is still the boy in them? Is it?
Oh, there's always a boy in them, yes.
Yeah. But it's harmless, isn't it?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It is good.
It is.
I think
it's very
good.
good.
Because, I mean, if they hadn't got an interest to be in the pub or doing something else,
Right. And
Well,
you'd probably
my
be
man
there
doesn't
too, you
drink,
see, as
so-
well.
well, I wouldn't.
But my mind,
Poor fella
doesn't
doesn't
drink
drink.
at all, so I mean, he'd have nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have nothing at
He'd
all.
have nothing. Like your fella was sport till he got into it.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he'd given up the other hobby, which was birds. And so obviously he'd get into this, you know.
Yeah. Well, ladies, enjoy what is a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we do enjoy it here. We're here every evening, I am.
But most evenings, I go for a walk before I come over.
Yeah. Can I just ask you? You're obviously new to the sport here,
That's right, yeah.
and what kind of a plane have you got?
I've got a Precedent Highboy, which is a 60-inch span, 4-channel radio control job.
Did you make this one yourself?
I made it myself. I was actually in Beaumont Hospital over Christmas, having an operation and major surgery. So I had my operation on the 20th of December.
Yeah. Now we can hear success. Were you a little bit worried
This
there?
is success. Yeah, it's a success. actually a recuperation project. But I was out of work for 3 months after my operation, and I decided I needed something to do while I was sitting on my tail end at home. I was trying to get my strength back. So I went out, the day I left the hospital, I had my wife drive me to All Models, where I bought the plane and the radio gear, and I made it over a period of a few weeks after that.
Why did you go for a plane and not a boat?
Well, I'd previously made planes as a youngster, maybe 15 years ago or so, and I thought the boats were a little bit too tame for me, but maybe I'm misjudging them. We'll see if this thing flies. Maybe I will be taking the boats.
You're getting a lot of help there from Peter, aren't you?
I am indeed, yeah. Well, it takes a bit of guts, I think, to take your plane out after you spend so many hours putting it together, especially when it's the first one. And take it off, it requires a bit of skill, which you don't have.
Well, tonight, will you be taking that one up yourself?
I don't think so, no. I'll let Peter have a go at it.
Right, and you'll do the easy bit, is that it?
I may not even do that. I mightn't have the courage to do it tonight.
Really?
We'll see. No,
really?
well, we'll see. We'll see how it flies first. It needs to be trimmed out and fly straight and level, first of all.
Yeah. So it'll be a thrill for you tonight to see this thing actually off the ground.
I'll be absolutely delighted tonight if this thing goes up and doesn't come down with a bang, you know.
Well, a pleasant evening there spent in the Phoenix Park in the company of the members of the Leinster Aero Club. Before we leave model airplane flying, I think we should leave the last word to Peter Warhope, who is the acknowledged expert. And we were talking about the larger models and about would it be possible for them to carry cameras, etc.
Yes, easily. Many of these large aeroplanes, of these quarter-scale aeroplanes, do in fact carry cameras. And the success that some people have with taking movie films from the aeroplanes is very good indeed. Taking still pictures is again fairly successful. They're used in rural situations where architects, town planners and such like want to take still aerial photographs of whatever of whatever is necessary for their particular job. One of the more unusual usages of model aeroplanes and photography has been the use of infrared photography to discover methane gas rising out of corporation dumps. I believe that this comes up green, red, blue, or whatever colour these sort of infrared photography things do. Now, I'm not into it.
Yeah. Are they? So, in that sense, a model airplane it's used officially.
Yes.
It would have an official capacity in
Yes.
that sense that it's
Oh,
used
yes.
as a practical tool for government departments or whatever, for aerial surveying and for sensing and other types of operation.
Yes, they are used for that, but they're not very often, mainly because it's a comparatively new field.
Right. In this country, in Ireland, do you know of any instance where any particular government department would actually use?
No.
No.
No. I know that then one or two approaches have been made, but so far nothing's come of them.
Where officials have come along and say, want to know capacity and so on.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, the prime importance with all government departments, cost.
Yeah. It would seem the idyllic thing for somebody like you, Peter, to be employed full-time doing these surveys and so on and going out with all expenses paid, transport the whole lot and playing and doing these things. Wouldn't that seem the idyllic thing, wouldn't it?
No, I think it would be awful to get paid for one's hobby.
My special thanks to Peter Traynor, Paddy Brown, Brian Patton, John Dunn, Peter Warhope, and all the members of the Leinster Aero Club there in the Phoenix Park.
Story red brick house, once glorious in its day, stands silently now, with signs of decay. The schoolyard beside the house still cries out with children at play. There were many that lived there, one and all, a mother proud, a father so tall. Where is the time gone, she asks. Was it someone else's life? I think it was mine, but now I'm not so sure. I had a love. It was long ago. He loved me very much. But I had to go. In England I did work for many a year. When I heard he died, I shed many a tear. Rambling roses cling to the wall. Snowdrops, crocuses, raindrops fall.